10,000 years ago, if you wanted a warm coat for the winter, you couldn't just buy one. You had to find someone with a spare pelt who needed exactly what you were carrying, perhaps a bundle of wheat, and swap them right there. If they didn't want your wheat, you walked away empty-handed or carried the burden of a personal debt. Economists call this the double coincidence of wants. For a trade to happen, you have to want what the other person is selling at the exact moment they want what you are offering in return. Between two people, trade is a simple line. But scale that up to a village of 10 people, producing 10 different goods, and you suddenly have 45 different exchange rates to negotiate. As the variety of goods grows, the web of who owes what to whom becomes impossible for any one person to track. Without a universal medium of exchange, the search for a trading partner takes more time than the actual production of goods. Trade eventually hits a mathematical gridlock and stops. This physical ceiling capped the growth of early civilizations. Moving beyond the size of a single tribe meant creating a common standard that could bridge the gap between strangers. By the 7th century BCE, the Kingdom of Lydia sat at the center of the ancient world's most active trade routes. Their capital, Sardis, was built near rivers that carried constant deposits of gold and silver. To speed up the commerce flowing through their city, the Lydian kings standardized these metals into the stater, a uniform coin forged from a natural alloy of gold and silver called electrum. Raw gold nuggets had been a part of commerce for generations. The change occurred when the Lydian kings began using a heavy iron punch to press a specific mark into the face of the metal. This image, the Lydian lion, functioned as a royal signature. It provided a state-backed assurance that the coin had a specific weight and a specific purity. Merchants no longer had to pull out scales to weigh and assay every piece of gold during a transaction. They could simply count the coins and move on. Money was born the moment a central authority provided a universally trusted stamp, removing the physical friction that had stalled human trade for millennia. In China, between the 10th and 13th centuries, the Song Dynasty oversaw a massive market expansion. Their economy relied on bronze coins, but the sheer volume of trade created a new bottleneck. Carrying millions of heavy coins across long distances became a logistical nightmare for large-scale merchants. Financial firms in Sichuan began issuing paper receipts called Jiaozi, allowing merchants to vault heavy metal and travel light. The government later took over, shifting money from a physical object of value to a placeholder backed by the state's promise. This abstraction worked until the Mongol and Ming dynasties began printing paper money to fund massive military deficits. Without the metal reserves to back the paper, the system spiraled into hyperinflation and collapsed. Paper money solved the physical burden of metal, but it introduced a new risk. It could only survive as long as the state maintained public trust through strict fiscal discipline. In 1944, at a conference in Bretton Woods, the world's leading economies established a new global system. Most currencies were pegged to the US dollar, which was, in turn, pegged directly to physical gold. In the decades following the war, global trade exploded. International markets required a massive, ever-growing supply of US dollars to keep commerce moving. This created the Triffin dilemma. To satisfy global demand, the US printed more dollars than its fixed gold supply could back. By the late 60s, foreign nations cashed in dollars for metal, triggering a run on US gold reserves that threatened to empty Fort Knox. In August 1971, President Nixon officially ended the dollar's convertibility into gold. The tie between the US currency and physical metal was severed forever. Modern fiat money has left the Lydian standard behind to function purely on the abstraction first tested in the Song Dynasty. In the end, our economic reality is built on a shared confidence that the money in our pockets is exactly what the state claims it to be.